Combat Compas is back, obviously, back with a brand new wrap. So obviously we're here. Gilbert is not in Los Angeles. He's actually currently in Las Vegas, Nevada. And so is our compa Emmanuel Morgan. They're both out there for UFC 290. I will be there on Saturday, but today we're recording the preview. Like I told the fellas, too hot for me out there. I gotta wait it out. But Gil, how is it out there?
It's not bad, Fernando. I got a system, man. Like I stay in the AC, and when it's daytime. By the way, I'm really picky with the temperature. Like sometimes when I go into AC, it's too cold, and you leave the AC, it's too hot. I can't figure it out.
Like the Chargers facility.
There you go. I'm always freezing, but it hasn't been too bad. I wish you were out here, but I see my guy Emmanuel putting in work. I saw Adam yesterday too. I saw Adam actually on Wednesday. So you're missed, but not too much because the people are out here. The Compas.
Yeah, not too much, but he's not a true worker, but he's not a grinder like Gil.
I've been at the Padres games like all week.
I'm jugging.
And the damn sun was hitting that Wednesday game was terrible. The sun was hitting me in the face. I was pissed. But whatever. Emmanuel, how are you doing?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow, bro.
Yeah, no, I'm excited too. Everybody, please go check out Emmanuel's story in the New York Times. You know we have a lot of compas here. Emmanuel did a story on a compa, Brandon Moreno. He has a huge title fight coming up this weekend. And Emmanuel wrote a story about him. I guess he's the youngest in his family, and they sold piñatas when he was younger, and now he's a champion of the UFC. So definitely some really cool stuff. Emmanuel always finds something interesting about a guy, that's what makes his stories unique. I think that's totally awesome. And Emmanuel, just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it was cool. So yeah, like me and Miter knew we wanted to cover this fight, so trying to get guys to the preview. And Brandon came out as like one of the more interesting people on the card. Haven't done something about him yet. The UFC's been trying to push Mexico for a while, and the fact that he's a champion now, that he's the first Mexican-born champion. Now they have three, Yair, and then Alex Grasso in the women's division. Yeah, it made sense to kind of focus on Brandon, like how his upbringing was, how he had the UFC, how the UFC is trying to push him to be the first Mexican champion, and how they're trying to expand. So it was cool. Yeah, it was a very, very cool story.
Gilbert, I think Dana White has all his fingers crossed, his toes. He has 4-leaf clovers. He is hoping that both Yair, Brandon probably win so that he could probably push that September 16 card and have all three Mexican champions up in that card, don't you think?
Yeah. No, I'm going to answer that first, but I have another question for Emmanuel, a big question. But it's interesting for now because it is International Fight Week, and they have a good, I want to say maybe three total Mexicans, with two in the main card, Moreno, Yair, Rodriguez, but 5 Aussies, Australians are also on the card. So like I feel like Dana White's in the middle. You want Mexico to win? Do you want the Australians to win? So, but it's perfect though. It's an International Fight Week. And by the way, Fernando, I know you've been missing out, but Brandon Moreno is a freaking star, man. They love that guy. Wherever he goes, he gets a giant pop, and Mexican flags were out there for the press conference, and I think the biggest cheers were for Brandon Moreno. So you got to write Emmanuel doing the feature on him. So my question now is, have you ever hit a piñata before?
I have. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. I remember when I was little, I couldn't because we were blindfolded, and I would start to cry when I was little because I couldn't hit it. But as you got older, you're able to kind of feel it out and kind of get some power behind it. So yeah, had a Batman piñata one time, had a Buzz piñata.
Nice.
Yeah, so yeah, I was big on Batman and Buzz.
Fun fact here, biscuits and gravy. The gravy. My dad told me that when they were kids, they used to use that gravy in Mexico to make piñatas out of. Like when my grandpa would eat biscuits and gravy, he'd be like, "Oh, I don't eat that." My grandpa's like, "Why not?" It's like that's what we used to use to stick the piñata together and put it together. And that's what they used to use to stick it together and make the piñatas. So definitely interesting the way they used to make piñatas back in the day in Mexico. But Emmanuel, what time is Brandon Moreno coming on? I'm sure you told him, hey, I have these compas, you should jump on with them. What time should we expect him at?
I don't know, bro. This came together kind of quickly. So yeah.
No, I'm kidding with you, but that's definitely some awesome stuff. What's Emmanuel? What's been your biggest takeaway from these last few days that you've been at the press conferences and all that about this upcoming card?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is like Brandon is definitely one of the biggest UFC stars now. Volk for sure is definitely getting up there. Thing about Volk is like he's not as like bombastic as like Izzy or Connor or Colby, but I mean, he goes in there, does his job, and then he gets kind of rewarded for it. I talked to him backstage, like after his press conference, and I was like dude, because me being the headliner of International Flyweight is like an honor, and it's like a vote of trust that the UFC has in me, because the biggest fight cards of the year are always International Fight Week and then MSG. So being a headliner, one that has big responsibility. He's like, yeah, no, I feel grateful for it. I feel like it shows that I'm doing what I need to do right, and that the UFC trusts me to kind of carry the spotlight for him this week. So yeah, he's definitely getting up there. I would say before the biggest stars the UFC has are Connor, obviously, John Jones, Izzy, Kamaru, but Volk is definitely getting up there for sure. Like even like the hardcore UFC fans know that he's like one of pound for pound greats, but I think now he's starting to get a little more recognition beyond just like the mainstream UFC fans.
Gilbert, speaking of obviously the UFC 290, Robert Whittaker. What have you kind of what do you think about him going into this fight this weekend?
Yeah, Robert Whittaker is still a pretty good, star in the UFC. He lost those, was it 2 fights, Emmanuel, to Adesanya? I forget, either 1 or 2 fights.
Yeah.
So he was a champion before, former champion, but he still gets a good ovation, a lot of ovation. So like, you're talking about Volkanovski, like him and Whittaker, I think it 1-2 for being so popular in terms of Australia. And then, by the way, I don't know if you guys caught the press conference yesterday, but I'm still laughing about some Australian reporter asking Dana White, like, if all 5 Aussies win on Saturday, can he ask the Prime Minister to make it a national holiday? And Dana White's like, I don't think he gives a shit what I think. So that was pretty funny to me. But yeah, Robert Whittaker, man, he's still a very good, dangerous fighter. And I don't want to butcher his name because I'm learning some of these guys. It's
DPP.
There you go. That's what you call him, right? Okay, it's a better name. Like, he's kind of like the villain right now. He's like the heel of the card, and either Pantoja gets booed or he gets booed, and he's like from South Africa. And Adam Hill has told me a couple things that he's gotten in trouble for, so that's why he gets a lot of boos there. He's been into it with Izzy, but Whittaker against him, the first name is it Drake? I'm gonna pronounce his first name.
Yeah,
Drake. Okay, got it right. Okay, well, DPP, I'll call him that. That's better.
Yeah. Well, for Gilbert, there's only one DDP, Diamond Dallas Page.
No, I think it's DPP, right?
Yeah,
DPP. But I was thinking that too, man. That's why I was confused. I'm not just calling Drake, but it's a pretty dangerous fight. I know Whittaker is still the heavy favorite there, but that's one I really want to see there and see how it pans out. But I guess the winner fights Adesanya, but do you want to see it again a third time with Whittaker Adesanya? I think the second one was pretty close. And then DPP, all the trash talking will make it a good fight. And like you mentioned, Emmanuel, Adesanya is a star fighter in the UFC. So whoever comes out from the winner, he'll make a good fight. He'll headline and it'll be a good pay-per-view down the line.
Yeah, I think so for sure. Like I guess I think fans are a little bit kind of they've seen Izzy fight Whittaker twice already. The second one was very, very close for sure. But I think to fight someone a third time, I think fans want to see new blood for Izzy. So if DDP wins, then obviously they'll probably do it. If Whittaker wins, you see at the choice, they probably either do Whittaker or they could do Sean Strickland or they could do Cannonier. Because I don't know, it's like having someone fight someone 3 times. I mean, it makes logical sense, and it would be okay if they did it. But I think fans might want to see someone different.
DDP, like, I feel like him and Adesanya would be in like an explosive press conference,
like
every single time they get together.
It would, yeah. So yeah, I was at the when Izzy won against Alex. Yeah, I was at the presser, and then like you can like hear his voice when he's talking about how he wants to beat DDP. He's like, I want to drag his carcass through. Do South Africa. So I'm like, yeah, like if he wins, yeah, they got to do that, and that person was gonna do numbers.
Well, he pissed him off because he said that Izzy doesn't count as an African fighter, and that he does.
And you know how?
Go ahead.
Do you know how insane it is to say? Like, like I'm not gonna get into that. It's that is an insane thing to say. So yeah, I see why Izzy will want it to fight like that.
That's gonna Yeah, that's going to be an interesting, definitely an interesting matchup. Then obviously we look at Brandon Moreno versus Alexandre Pantoja. Obviously, you guys have said it. Brandon's a superstar. Folks are talking about him. They're raving about him in Vegas. I'm sure it's going to be a pro Mexico crowd, especially because Brandon and Yair are fighting. But what do you guys see from Alexandre? Like, what Emmanuel? What do you see from him? Do you think he can go toe to toe with he could give him a run for his money, Brandon?
I think so. No, I mean, no, he already beat him twice already. So I mean, like he beat him in the Ultimate Fighter, and then he beat him during like one of the early fights in the UFC. So now he's shown that he can beat him. I think for sure Brandon has grown since those two fights. This level of competition he's had to face. I mean, he fought David Figueroa 4 times. Fought Kai Kara France twice. I mean, those are like big like competition. So I mean, Brandon for sure has improved. But I mean, like you look across him at the octagon and you be like, oh wow, this dude beat me twice. I mean, he could get nervous about that. So we'll see.
Gilbert, what do you think?
Yeah, going off of the DDP hate there, I think Pantoja is getting a little more because, like you mentioned, Brandon Moreno is a giant star. So anytime they put the rival on the screen, he gets booed, and I like that he embraced it. Like yesterday at the face-off or not the weigh-in, but the press conference, like you could tell, like I want to stare daggers at my opponent. Like I'm tired of you guys booing me. He kept saying, I know you guys are, the Mexican fans that love Brandon Moreno. He earned that. He respects being a champion. He doesn't forget. Like I beat this guy twice already. Yeah, it was different time, a different period. We're both different fighters, but he's like, I still got that mental edge. I don't care if you boo me. He was rocking the shades indoors. I like this. So I kind of like his persona. He's Brazilian. So Fernando, you're a soccer guy. So Brazil against Mexico, that rivalry. It's pretty one-sided soccer, yeah. But it's a good rivalry, right? Maybe here MMA will be flipped there, but I think he has a chance because he has a mental edge and he's a good fighter. But like Emmanuel mentioned, like these guys are always constantly fighting each other, and you never know in the UFC. You guys could, you could lose 3 times one time and then get like we saw with Adesanya, the kickboxer, the other Brazilian guy. So you lose constantly, but then you keep going. I bet you can break through. And I think this could be from Moreno right there.
Right.
What's been your guys' favorite line from this week? Is there a line or something that you guys have heard one fighter say that you just like it made you chuckle or made you laugh?
That Dana Alexandre Pantoja was kind of funny. So.
You know what? I don't know if it's a line, but I've noticed a lot of lines from Volkanovski talking about the Islam fight. Like I'm like, dude, you're fighting Yair Rodriguez. This guy could kick the crap out of you, but he can't stop talking about the Islam fight, and I feel like it's kind of overlooking Yair. I'm not trying to jump the gun here, but like he's always talking about Islam, and like you could tell it really eats at him. He's always like, what if I want? And I think he really wants that rematch, and I would love to see it too.
He's talking about beating Aljo too. If Aljo goes to 45, so I mean he's talking about all the other guys except Yair. So, but we'll see. We'll see. Yeah.
Okay, now looking at that fight, obviously with Yair, what do you guys make of this one? I mean, could it be fireworks or like, do you feel like it's going to be an explosive fight, or kind of what, Emmanuel? What's your form of thinking when it comes to the main event?
It's gonna be a good fight. It's gonna be a really good fight because Yair is has the height and the reach on him, and he's really good at kickboxing. But Volk's is very, very well rounded, and unlike Izzy, he has like good offensive wrestling. So we'll see. I think if Volk is defensive and he keeps Yair out of his range and plays the range right and not get caught by his creative striking, then I think he'll win. But yeah, that's a very, very good fight. That's gonna be a really, really good fight.
Gilbert, what do you expect from that fight?
Yeah, the bias side in me, obviously being Mexican, I want Yair to win, but it's such a tough challenge because obviously he's coming off a loss, Volkanovski, but that was a higher weight class, and I respect that he went up to challenge himself against one of the best fighters in the UFC. At a higher weight class, but when it comes to his division, his weight class, he's such a dominant force, and I understand why he's a heavy favorite. But I do like that. He's not over. He is kind of overlooking, but he's also really respectful. Right. His game and how unique it is, and you can't let down because a kick hits you in the head out of nowhere. So exactly. That could be a game changer, but it's gonna be tough for Yair because Volkanovski is such a good fighter, especially in his division. And you know what? Speaking of stars, like he's a pretty outgoing guy in interviews, and he is kind of helping out with carrying this pay-per-view, and obviously having the Mexican star power helps. But like he has some good one-liners, and he's not afraid of to be cocky and show off. So and he's rocking that prime that we saw on Wednesday, right? So he's hanging out with Logan Paul, so I think that's kind of helping out with his persona.
That's definitely gonna be interesting. So obviously I got to get your guys' predictions on these fights. DDP or Robert Whittaker, Gilbert?
Let's go with Whittaker, and I wouldn't mind seeing him third time out of Sunday. Why not? But then like there is that whole feud with the other guy, but I don't think he's ready for the level of what Robert presents on Saturday.
Emmanuel?
Yeah, I got Robert probably.
Brandon Moreno or Alexandre Pantoja, Emmanuel?
Got Brandon.
Gilbert?
Yeah, losing twice is tough, but I think Moreno's a different fighter. He'll get it.
Okay, now for the main event of the evening. Volkanovski or Yair, Gilbert?
Man, I really want to go Yair, but I'm Volkanovski. I'm doing all talk here. But for now, you got to give your picks after us, by the way.
Yeah, no, you can't skip by this, bro. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I got Volk too. Yeah, I think he's too all-rounded. He's too experienced. Yeah, so.
I'll go DDP. DDP. I'll go Brandon Moreno, and I'll say Yair wins. I mean, Volkanovski's a freaking tank. The dude's only lost twice. I think he's a monster, but I'll say Yair pulls it out and ends up. I'm telling you, Dana White wants that September 16th card to feature all three Mexicans. I think so. I think he's definitely gonna want this to go through.
That'd be like a two-month turnaround to get both guys on if they win, if they're okay and healthy.
Yeah,
that's what and that's what I'm like. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking about it right now when I was driving home to do this. I'm like, wow, it's a 2-month turnaround. Could they do something? I mean, I'm sure they could, but they're gonna have to come out. And Brandon usually comes out like with his face all puffed up and everything, and he's in the hard fights. So I don't think I'd be interested to see if they could do a quick turnaround like that.
For now, they keep talking about the one in Sydney for the Australian fighters because that one's coming up too, and trying to do a quick turnaround to win. So it's possible in the UFC.
Yeah, that is true. But Emmanuel, anything interesting that stood out to you, whether it's Vegas or whether it's the fight? Anything interesting?
Interesting. I saw Gil at the Apex, bro, grinding, and you weren't there.
Taking a shot to end. I like it.
Stop taking a shot at me. I had to do other stuff. You guys didn't go to slap? You're not going to Slapbox?
That's tonight. I was gonna say you were asking me too soon because I think that's gonna be my weird takeaway is watching Slapboxing tonight or whatever you call it. Just slap power slap. There we go.
Power slap, yeah.
That's gonna be interesting. I mean, I've seen clips of it and stuff, and you just see the wax, and you're like, damn, like these guys go down hard. So that's gonna be. Are you going to that too, Emmanuel?
I'm not. Unfortunately, I got some other stuff I got to do. But yeah, we can do it a whole nother episode on power slap and all the stuff that goes on with it.
That's hilarious. But obviously, Emmanuel, we appreciate you jumping on with us and giving us a little bit of your time. I can't wait to see you on Saturday. It'll definitely be awesome to see you. It's been a while, so it'll be, I think, since the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
so it'll be cool. Yeah, because while you were out here in LA, you saw everybody else, but you didn't see us. Just saying. But obviously, it'll be great to see you. And then Gilbert, obviously, I will see you Saturday. So it'll be a cool little reunion.
Yes, sir.
Gilbert, anything else to say before we head out?
I think I'm end up with Emmanuel. No. Yes, sir. Like Emmanuel, nos vamos, pues, vámonos.